Hey everyone, Coaster Jammin here. Figured it on tonight. I wanted to discuss my recent post I made, not to cause controversy or anything. Put a post up after all this information was coming down about Six Flags and how they were losing money, and I kind of put out a simple solution to the plan, which was met with a lot of feedback, both on Instagram and TikTok. So, I was going to wait until a couple more people got into here before I started sharing everything. But if you go over to my TikTok or my Instagram, which is both of them are Coaster Jam and photos on both of those platforms, I put a post up basically saying the way that Six Flags could fix their parks is to start selling off some of the smaller regional parks and um, taking the money from those parks and putting them into the parks that deserve it. Now, I did list some of the parks that I said, hey, maybe these are the parks that should be saved, um, and kind of delved into, and then some of the other ones could be let go. So I put two in California. I did it kind of based on population and popularity, and then also the locations of where those parks are at as well. So I said, keep two in California, keep Magic Mountain and Knott's, for example, in Texas. Um, Keep over Texas because that's Six Flags original park. Keep two in the Midwest, which would be Cedar Point, Kings Island, because both of those are extremely profitable parks, extremely popular parks. Keep one in the Northeast, which was Six Flags Great Adventure, and then keep one in the South, which is Carowinds, because that is Six Flags corporate headquarters now. So that was met with a lot of disdain and feedback, and a lot of the feedback I was getting, the comments on the posts were, you're an idiot because of this, you're an idiot because of that. Look, it was my thoughts and my opinion on how to save a company that if they don't start doing things, we're not going to have them exist at all. I get that Six Flags is a regional chain and the parks are located in certain areas. I didn't say anything bad about any of the parks. I just said, look, this is an idea, right? So it's an idea, it's an opinion, right? So everybody's entitled to an opinion. So I have one, and I said that's, if I was CEO, I would start looking around at, when your report comes back and everything's in the red, obviously there was a lot of stuff that was done wrong. So I thought, okay, well, if they moved it into more, instead of diversifying their portfolio and having these parks out there that aren't making any money, was to turn around and say, hey, we're going to start offloading some of these parks that aren't making money, take the money from those park sales and put them into the parks that have a larger population or that are more popular. People are coming back at me and saying, oh, well, we're not going to drive 2 or 3 hours to go to another park because it's too far to drive if you do that, and blah, blah, blah. So look, these companies exist. Six Flags does not exist other than anything else than to make money. They're corporate. They want your money. Okay. So if you're going to a park, you're paying a lot of money to be in the park. You're paying a lot of money to overall experience of the park, and it's garbage, you're most likely not going to go back. So if it's a regional park, I get it. Like, hey, I went one time, like last year, I went one time to King's Dominion, for example. Okay. So you spent your money for one visit. You're not going to buy an annual pass. You're not going to go back there and spend a lot of money. You're not going to, it's not something that you do every other day. They need to make their money while they can. if it's a regional park, and I'll put this as a prime example because someone brought this up. They said, "Oh, well, why would you close? Why would you close Great America in Chicago?" And look, I've never been there, so I don't know anything about that park. So I'm not going to comment other on than what I see on their reports, and then what I see in the news reporting about incidences happening there, problems in the park. Now, look, other parks have problems too, but I can clearly remember over the past 2 or 3 years, Great America being in the news at least 2 or 3 times with violent acts in the park. So I kind of look at that at one of those things, and I go, okay, maybe it's time for it to go. Um, if you don't have guests in your park that can behave, unfortunately, that makes the business suffer, and that makes people not want to go there. So prime example, and then they're saying, people are coming back and saying, oh, well, why would you choose over Texas over Fiesta? Fiesta's a better park. Look, I watch YouTube videos just like everybody else. I watch, other content creators talk about going to Fiesta, Texas, or going to Over Texas. And every video that I've seen that's coming out of Fiesta, just issues, 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 issues. So I'm like, okay, I haven't been to either one of those Texas parks either, so I can't say which one is better, other than other people's opinions. And some of the people that I watch, I take their opinions very seriously, um, until I can create my own opinion on it. So I said, oh, keep Over Texas because that's Six Flags original park. Just like I said with Carowinds, keep Carowinds. Carowinds has got, a big population around the area. They're the closest to the Florida region, and keep that one. Not to say, my whole point of the thing was not to say that park sucks or this park sucks or this park sucks, or no, it was an idea based on sheerly the population and the numbers that I see coming out of all these parks. So I see, we go to Kings Island on a Monday, it's packed. I go to Six Flags. I go to Great Adventure on a Monday, kind of slow. So, and another, I'm not saying anything bad about the parks, but some of these Six Flags parks are located in really bad areas. Two that I can think of right off the top of my head. America is in a really bad area, and Over Georgia is in a really bad area. We were just at New England. We stayed on the Connecticut side, and we weren't very impressed with that area either. But with saying that, I know all the parks have issues. They have issues with security. They have issues with, rampant guests and problems like that and all that. So I kind of look at a park as, the overall experience. If you go there and you're spending a lot of money, and you don't feel safe, it's not a good vibe, and you're most likely not going to go back. One of the other things that someone brought up was they said, oh, well, all these parks are, all these Six Flags parks are putting money, they just built a $30 million expansion, or they just built a new roller coaster, or they just built this and that and this and that. Okay, look, before the merger, these parks were starting to do things and had things planned and paid for prior to the merger. And then once the merger hit and Cedar Fair execs and the Six Flags execs combined together, and they look at it and they go, okay, well, you might have built a $30 million roller coaster, but your revenue for last year was, 1.6 million. It's a business. A business is not going to exist if they're not making money. So I'll get to that in 1 second. But as far as the parks doing all these updates and all these whatever, and then, and I go, oh, hey, you should get rid of this. And the person goes, oh, no, they just built a whatever. Six Flags America just redid an entire area of their park that has been open for a year. It opened last year. So to see America closing, uh, you kind of go, okay, well, they put all this money into that, and all this stuff is coming down, prior to them. But Six Flags America has been a thorn in the side of Six Flags for a long time. The only thing that I can see that's even remotely profitable there is the water park. The water park, if the water park stood on its own, it would do really well. But now, now they're canceling Fright Fest. They're doing all this stuff to try to save grace. I just watched a video from, I think it was taken last Friday. I'm trying to remember what the channel was that had it, but they had the whole area between Superman and Batwing completely closed off and said, due to, in a sign on the area of the park that was blocked off that basically said, since we're waiting on parts from the manufacturer, this area is not even open. They're not going to put any more money into fixing these rides, people. They've got literally 90 days until it's done. It's gone. So if you think you're going to go to Six Flags America November 2nd and any of the roller coasters are running, good luck. I mean, we were just there. Me and Charlie just visited there, a couple weeks ago. Actually, I think like probably a month ago. And it just looks like they don't care anymore. And I get that. And they shouldn't care anymore because no one's going to go back. With them canceling their Fright Fest, I know a lot of people are pissed off about that. But I'm seeing other theme parks like kind of across the country that are canceling Christmas lights. They're canceling Halloween events. They're canceling their holiday in the park events. And it would basically what it comes down to is it comes down to what else? Money, right? So these theme parks exist. These big corporate companies exist to make money. With Six Flags, they have a big board. They got to pay the board members. They got to pay all their park presidents. They got to pay this. They got to do that. They got to do that. So all these things have to fit together like a puzzle piece in order for them to make money. And what it comes down to is these parks are starting to get greedy. And with the greed comes the falling apart of the company. I don't know how big the board of directors is at Six Flags. That's probably something I should have looked up prior to getting on. But all those people are getting paid. They got rid of, Six Flags altogether, came around and wiped out park presidents and parks that, I know some of the park presidents personally that were canned. And you kind of go, okay, well, why? But as far as the overall, if they're not making money, they're not going to succeed. So, if you start selling off parks like Darien Lake, or you start selling off Michigan's Adventure, or you start selling off even something big, Fiesta Texas, for example, or you get rid of, some of these parks that even though they might be making money, but not making a lot, they need to cut down their expenditure and their portfolio. And cutting down the portfolio on the park visits, on the amount of parks that they have to cater to a regional area, they need to shrink down that regional area and focus on the parks that deserve the attention. Great Adventure has been in a really bad state for the last 5 or 6 years, and I don't really understand why. You talk to the employees up there, you talk to the bloggers who are there all the time. I know a couple of them, and they say, oh, it's all because of the merger and blah, blah, blah. Dude, no. Great Adventure has been having a bad time for way years, even before the merger was even talked about. Their maintenance up there is horrible. Their planning of events is horrible. It's just a whole bunch of things at that park. And not to say I do like that park. I like their collection of rides they have there. However, with the removal of Ka, uh, I haven't been like 100% like, oh, well, I got to go to that park again this summer. I've been, I think, 3 times this year, and it was fun. Flash is fantastic. But the park just seems like like they don't really care. Um, and that kind of one of those things where you kind of go, all right, well, if they don't care, then I don't care. Um, but I'm hoping with maybe the sale of America that they're going to take the money from that and put it back into the parks that deserve it. I'm a big fan of King's Dominion. Do I think this world could exist without King's Dominion being there? Absolutely. But you have Carowinds. I mean, you could keep some of these parks open, but King's Dominion has huge competition right down the street, and they haven't been able to compete because the way the Cedar Fair was doing things is they were kind of, oh well, here's a little bit of money every year. It took them how long before they got a replacement for Volcano? Um, because they just didn't have enough money coming in to buy a new roller coaster. Yeah, they did just get a new $30 million roller coaster. Is it good? It's fun. Is it rough? Yes. Does it seem like it's cheap? Yes. Um, does the theme area of the park look great? Absolutely. Does Pantherion opening now um, offset some of the problems maybe they're in the park? Probably. I told myself I wasn't going to go back this year until Pantherion opened, and now it's open. So now I've got a trip planned to go back there. Um, so, if you look at the big picture, and I'm not trying to, I don't want to bash on anybody's parks. I'm not going to bash on anybody that left comments. I didn't even, my phone's sitting right here. I could pull up all the comments and read each one. Um, Look, I get it that you're a theme park fan and you want to comment on my posts and stuff like that, but every single post I read is basically that I'm an idiot because I said they need to get rid of some of their parks. Look, I'm going to put it this way. If you want to comment on my post, that's fine. But think about what you're going to type and say before you type it, because I'm going to put it this way. So all those people that were like, oh, well, they're going to get rid of my home park. I'm going to think about it from you being the owner of a company. Okay. Say you own, a record store. We'll say a record store. I'm showing my age. You own a clothing store, okay? And your clothing store is doing really, really good. And then you say, oh, you know what? Since the clothing store is doing really good, we're going to open another location that's farther away. So people in that area and that region of where we're at, we're going to open a clothing store there. So you open a clothing store there, and it does really well for a little while, and then it starts falling off. You start losing customers, you're not getting the revenue coming in, and then now you're taking your money from your original company that is doing really well, and you're taking that money and you're putting it into the other company just to stay afloat, just so that store can stay open, and you're taking money out of your original store to support the other one. That's exactly what's going on with the Six Flags and Cedar Fair merger. They expanded all across the United States. They started to have parks in other areas fail, and then their parks that are making money have to suffer because that park isn't doing well. So if you were a business owner, the first thing you're going to do is, unless you got a lot of money that you want to pay out of your pocket to keep your little business open, in a different state from where you originally set up at, you're going to close that store that's costing you money. If you don't, then both of your companies will fail. So with that and my post, what I was trying to say was, look, keep some of these bigger parks open, diversify your portfolio, sell off the ones that aren't making money or not making as much money that your other parks are suffering, and your guests that are going to your other parks. People really want to go to a park, and I don't want to hear one more person say, oh, I'm not going to drive 2 or 3 hours to go to a theme park. You know what, dude? Okay, cool. Then don't. You know what? I know people that live in Texas and they go to Florida every year. I know people that live here. We drive to Cedar Point 2, 3 times a year, 6, 7 hours away. If you want to go ride roller coasters and you're a theme park fan, you will travel to go enjoy those experiences. Dollywood is 8 hours from here, planning a trip there before the end of the year. So don't say, oh, well, that's bullcrap. And I'm going to leave my comment on here because I'm not going to drive 2 or 3 hours to a park. Cool. You know what? I get it. Then you don't have to go. I mean, hey, look, I'm just saying what I say because I have my own opinions and we live in a country where we're allowed to say what we want to say. Okay. So that post was not made to be rage bait. That post was not made to be you're an idiot because this is what you think. That post was made to say, hey, look, you know what? Maybe you should visit your theme park, your local theme park more. Or maybe you should do things to support that theme park better. And then you'd be okay. Six Flags America is closing because 1, they're in a bad location. 2, they can't get employees to work there, even though there's thousands of people that live in that area. They can't get employees, and they're not taking care of it. So people go there and they go, oh my God, this experience is terrible. We paid $45 to park and $70 to get in, and 4 other big roller coasters are closed all day. Well, it's not an experience. People won't go back. So guess what? America got the reputation and it deserved it, and now it's closing down. So people are like, there's people here that I know that are closer to here to Hershey. Guess what? They go to Hershey. Hershey, number 1, more expensive. Number 2, a little bit farther away than driving, to America. And they go to Hershey. Why? Better experience, better employees, better rides. The park's taken care of. It's not that hard to figure out why America is closing. So the people that are complaining about America closing, maybe you should have visited some more. And maybe you should have spent some more money when you were there. That's pretty much the easy solution to the problem. But, these big chains, I'm not trying to be a jerk about this. I'm just saying I don't like getting attacked when I make a opinion post and people are like, you're an idiot. Sorry. Tell me how you would fix it. Instead of leaving me a comment telling me I'm an idiot, then leave a comment on my post on how you would fix what the problem is. Okay. And I would start with this. In my lifetime, Cedar Fair has never filed for bankruptcy, ever. In my lifetime, I can count at least 3 times that Six Flags has filed for bankruptcy. So the problem is not Cedar Fair. The problem is Six Flags and Cedar Fair going like this, and Cedar Fair having to make up all of this crap that Six Flags left on the shelf. And do I want to see theme parks shut down? No. Do I want to see people lose their home park? No. But something needs to be done. And when I say something about, hey, maybe this is what you should do, instead of focusing on these little teeny tiny parks dotted all over the country, you go, hey, we're going to build one big one here, one big one here, one big one here. Okay. Prime example of why that works. Disney. As much as I can't stand Disney, where are their parks at? 1 and 1. 1 in California, 1 in Florida. They didn't go, hey, we're going to build a regional theme park in Muskegon, Michigan. Right. See what I'm saying? So they kind of focused in on that and they left it there. Why is Hershey Park, that is an extremely successful company, why aren't they going, hey, why don't we build a theme park in Texas? Why don't we build a theme park in Idaho? Why don't we build a theme park in Michigan? Why don't we build one in Maine? That way everybody can come, because guess what? It's going to fail. Busch Gardens, same thing. Where are they? They're located in 2 tourist areas, Florida and freaking Williamsburg, Virginia. Williamsburg, Virginia park is one of the most visited parks in the country. and it's in Williamsburg. The reason it's so popular is because it's in a tourist town. You don't build a theme park in Muskegon, Michigan, and then expect to have Cedar Point crowds. There's no draw. What's the draw? There is none. So they're not making money. So it's that easy to look at it from the perspective of these theme parks, if they're not making money, are going to fail. So you get rid of the crappy ones, you keep the good ones. Look, keep great. Like someone said, "Oh, Great America has the greatest, the greatest attendance every year." And then someone made a comment about Canada's Wonderland. I wasn't even including the park in Canada because that park's fine. That's a whole different world. So, you know, you don't need to have 27 theme parks spread out across the entire United States. Not with the way our economy is, not with the way our workforce is now, not with the way that people just think they deserve everything all the time. You don't need those. You don't need a Darien Lake Park. You don't need a 6 parks in California. Look, I get California's got a huge population, but guess what? The Northeast does too. So Great Adventure should be getting money to build their park out bigger because they're drawing from New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, the Northeast, right? They're getting people from Maryland are coming all the way up there. People from Pennsylvania are coming all the way up there. The most heavily populated area of the United States is New York, New Jersey, the Northeast section of the United States. So if you don't believe me, look it up. California is popular, but then guess what? As soon as you go up the East Coast or the West Coast, the population just dives, right? So you don't need to have a park open in somewhere where it's only going to be open 3 to 4 months out of the year. You don't need to have a theme park in the middle of nowhere where the only people who come to your park are locals and expect that to make a lot of money. So I'm going to close with this. I know not a lot of people have gotten on my live tonight, and I mean, I really don't. I really didn't expect them to. It's a Saturday night in the summer. One of the parks that I look up to all the time, and I kind of look at the overall experience when I go to parks, is I look at what I'm paying to stay in the area around the park, the overall experience in the park, the overall attitude in the park, just the overall package together, right? I don't go, oh, we went to, Six Flags in Massachusetts and it's the greatest park ever because it has Superman the ride. No, I look at the whole package. Obviously I do social media. I look at their guest services responses. I look at their PR responses. Like when I email them about something, I look at the food prices. I look at the pricing. I look at the hotels in the area, like what the prices are the hotels in the area, what the overall experience is, right? So that's kind of, I kind of have this checklist in my head that I go, okay. And the one park that stands out more than anyone is a single little tiny park in the middle of nowhere in Pennsylvania called Knoebels. I'm going to tell you just straight up, the best guest services team I've ever seen, the best PR team I've ever seen, the most accessible owners and upper management that's available. The rides there are fantastic. The overall experience is great. The park is clean. It's not expensive. It's fantastic. And I'll tell you, if other parks would adopt the model and the overall quality of what Knoebels does, and how they do it, and adopt that into their larger markets instead of being extremely greedy and charging people $65 to park their car in a parking lot that has potholes the size of Texas in it, and then charging another $75 to get in and another $20 for a cheap microwave, at best, microwave burger and French fries, and with your drink is $30. They should adopt into their parks. They should look at Knoebels And people are going to say, oh, well, Knoebels is a family owned park. Well, guess what? Most of these other parks in these chains started out as that. And then they got greedy. And guess what happened? They fall apart. So, if you've never been to Knoebels, it's one of those places you need to go. You need to go check it out. It's not for everybody. Um, it's um, it's not big. It doesn't have 300-foot monstrosity, $50 million roller coasters in it. Um, but the overall experience there is one of the best that you're going to ever see in any theme park. The only one that might come close to that is Holiday World in Indiana, with the just the family structure and how it's run. Uh, that might be kind of on the same level, but what Knoebels does, they do it right, and I'm very proud that I only live, 2.5 hours away from there. I visit there quite a bit. I've gotten to know the park owners. I've got to know the family, the family well. I've gotten to know pretty much everybody there. Do they have issues in some spots? Yeah. But here's the thing. You can walk around that park, and if you have an issue with something or you need help with something, there's always someone around to help you, as opposed to going to, Cedar Point and then try to find somebody on the midway that can direct you to the bathroom. You're not going to find it. So, the smaller chain, that smaller family experience is fantastic. And I love the fact that they've continued to do exactly what they've done for a long time, and next year they're celebrating 100 years um, of operation. And it's like I tell them all the time: whatever you're doing, don't change it, because it's awesome. So I'm gonna let you go with that. If you want to leave a comment on this video. Like I said, I didn't come on here. I didn't want to leave any names or anything like that from the comments I got on the TikTok and Instagram posts about the Six Flags stuff. But obviously, they need to fix things. If they don't fix things soon, and start closing down or restructuring, how they're spending their money, we're going to lose the whole chain. And I mean, I don't know what this world would be like without a Cedar Point or a Kings Island or, some of these bigger parks in them. But they need to do something. I think getting Celine Basul off the board would be probably a good idea. I don't think allowing Zimmerman to serve on the board. I think once they quit or get fired because of failure of something that they did while they worked there, that got them demoted out of being the CEO, they should no longer be there. Obviously, they did something wrong, and they stay on board and they say, "Oh, well, I had this idea." Well, they failed at what they're doing. Celine Basul is a failure. Richard Zimmerman, straight failure. But to see Six Flags come around after the quarterly report came out or whatever and say, "Oh, it's because of the weather." No, it's because you don't know how to run your parks. That's pretty much how it works. I'm going to make shirts up, I think, coming up soon. They're just going to be Six Flags Do Better shirts. I'll have them up on my Redbubble. I'm kind of working on a concept for that now. So, I appreciate it if you, even though a lot of people didn't join, I'm going to put this up on my site so you guys can see it. It'll be up on my YouTube so you can watch it later. Please leave a comment on it. If they're, don't leave me anything like, well, you're stupid. No, leave a comment on how you would fix the parks. That's what I want to know. Don't be GP and say, well, it's my home park and it shouldn't close. It's not a very good defense. Anyway, everybody take care. I hope you guys have a great weekend. We only got a couple more weeks left of, the theme park season. So I hope you get to some of the parks you haven't been to. Like I said, if you haven't visited Knoebels yet, you need to go and check that place out. It's definitely worth an experience, especially if you're coming through the Pennsylvania area. You've kind of got the triangle of Pennsylvania goodness, which is Hershey, Dorney, Knoebels. It's like my favorite, my three that I go to all the time and up in this area. Just leave a like and comment on the video. And I appreciate you guys joining and watching and subscribing to my channel. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the weekend. Bye.